Zoe, I'm excited to see our first series to kick off the day.
That's right. Energy Shock going up against Swamp Gaming. We expect high-octane gameplay. Let's see what the teams deliver.
All right, thank you, Zoe. And straight to the ban phase we go. So it's just off to the races, right? Immediately, I don't know, what do you think, Vicky? They go for the Elsa ban on the opposite side to get the one-sided matchup with Mello. And then for NRG, getting rid of the Gambit.
Oh, they're so locked in. I love how we're always able to like kind of get more insight whenever we have an interview with a coach. And Swamp Gaming did something yesterday that we have to pinpoint, which was have Mellophobia actually into their lineup. This time it's going to be Daze on the startup. And they've preached about it already in interviews about how crazy Daze is on the Daredevil. Them protecting the Elsa while having Daze alongside Mello together, it's going to be great to see, because then you have to try to match that with the fact that Amadian is the one actually stepping out of this lineup. So they've been constantly rotating through these duelists as the Loki is the next ban, because they see the Gambit, force out the Loki. You don't want a double Rage and Royal Flush. We've seen how that goes for a lot of teams when it transcends to this pick and ban phase. And you're also talking about the ban pool. That's the next ban on the table.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of back and forth here based on that. It's like you mentioned, they're very blessed to have the duelist lineup that they have with Daze, Mello, and Amadian, because they can kind of play everything. And, you know, Daze maybe go over to that Wolverine potentially is always an option. They get the Rogue and Gambit team up as well as that back line, so you know they're going to be playing hyper aggressive with the Star-Lord, and that's why Swamp has to go for the ban against it. So if we're talking about that specific matchup, it's I don't know, the Gambit doesn't feel as oppressive these days, I think, as the Elsa does. But right now, I mean, both teams, like you mentioned, getting rid of the Van pool, I think, is a big deal, so you don't get that one-sided affair, that matchup. But the Mantis Protect is kind of interesting, because at least in North America, I don't think the Mantis has looked that strong just yet, but you know, I guess with the Groot and stuff and the Loki potential, you have to kind of worry about it. But it'll be interesting to see kind of who comes out on top with that, because the last ban was Loki to prevent that, you know, potential backline setup on the high grounds and stuff. So this will be interesting as NRG, you know, I imagine they just kind of want to run down Swamp Gaming's backline. But we talked about it, Vicky, you know, their backline's one of the best in the game at living, right?
Yeah, it is, and I actually think the Protect on the Mantis was almost a bait too, because even if you do swap over to the Mantis, you could get the damage boost onto Mello, and then Mello could just go crazy. But it forces out that ban onto the Loki, so Swamp Gaming have a little bit more freedom to get comfortable with their backline that they've stated is probably the best backline right now than any other team. They feel very comfortable with Valentina and Forky, and together, even through our interviews, they know that this is a lineup that really has no issue in a very dive-heavy meta where they're likely to be oppressed, which also goes hand-in-hand with your point, too, with, like, the Gambit metas, too, because I feel like if your Gambit isn't getting enabled, that's your win con off the table.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You know, this is going to be also a matchup thing to determine the group, right? Like, if we look at the overall standings, the fact that NRG beat 100 Thieves, a team that everybody thought was just going to...
Insane.
You know, yeah, it's crazy. Like, the fact that everybody thought they were going to be top of the group, already sent down to that potential elimination spot. And then between Swamp Gaming and NRG, these are the two undefeated squads so far. Portal play on the right side. Yeah, that's quick.
Oh, and with the fastball special, wait, they came and they chose violence. They're looking around, where is everybody? And they go and they contest with a portal play of their own from NRG as Daze gets sent out like a Pokemon, finds Madara, isolates him, gets sent all the way up. Somebody call the Amber Alert. He tries to stay alive, puts up the shield, and that's a big first pick in favor for Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, this would be an interesting map to see if, like, Shock doesn't actually manage to get, you know, eliminations against that, right? Because this Wolverine with the Hulk just gets thrown in there all the time. You're getting one by one. The Daredevil gone, that's a ton of damage removed, and you're against Mello on the outside, just poking you down. Right now with this Wolverine, he's kind of been so free with the Invisible Woman matchup as well. Finally, they're able to take care of him. But this map is just so open that you kind of have to take advantage of that. The first point given to NRG, so great work out of them, and they need to keep this pressure up and make sure they could maybe build ults and not let Swamp Gaming get any KOs on the opposite side.
Crazy to see how already that dominating factor here for NRG to still take over the point over Swamp Gaming, despite Swamp getting that first pick here. Daredevil now going over to the side. Madara gets stunned. The Rogue getting caught. Forky Dog following up to get that next pick, but it's still in favor for NRG Shock, who are nearing that 25% mark. Daze is looking for the next victim before finding the Venom. He isolates him. He already popped the armor, which means he has no health. Only so much the White Fox could do from Chime, who is very close to having that ultimate before backing up, and now you have Kraz is going to be able to get that reset.
Yeah, he somehow lived long enough in Bruce Banner form. But go in immediately with the Fox ult on the opposite side. You know, is it matched by anything? It's matched by velocity with the Gambit ult, immediately in the Chime as well, but can do it after this, right? Because Mello, he's got the Glartrox ready to go. It's out into the backside. They get rid of Medora again, by the way. I think that's third fight in a row that he's been first picked. Window does trade at least one, so Mello only finding two is something, but the Wolverine just smokes everybody else out of here. You know, you can't really win anything else. You're just going to stall the point. But regardless, I think for NRG Shock's side, like, they're up, and they're still delaying, by the way, but Madara's got to slow it down a little bit. Like, he just keeps being the target of focus for Swamp Gaming every single fight. They built 63%, which is nice, but you used both strategies ultimates in the last fight, Vicky, and I think I'm a little worried for them moving forward now.
Yeah, even though you see Madara like on the road, it was very difficult. Every single time Madara tried to go in through one of those chokes and try to harass the backline, he just kept getting shut down. Although the stall was beautiful from NRG Shock, and now you get to turn into a Buster Hulk. The trade up though, and just trying to delay here from the road before the retake comes in from the back end of NRG, trying to flip it right back in their favor. Forces Kratz to back away and split his attention over to the devil of Stinkers. Window also comes flying and trying to get the follow-up, but Mello has been shutting them down, getting so many of these picks already from the very beginning from Swamp.
Yeah, this has been an interesting map, I think, for like Stinkers too, because Stinkers hasn't been able to do much on Daredevil, considering this is like such a open piece of land, kind of. Like, it's hard to kind of get in, but now Madara finally goes out with the ultimate against Valentina, though, right? So he's going to keep, or they're going to keep everybody healthy on the backside. Madara is going to slow down their ultimate charge, hopefully for him, but has to back out of there with their lives. Otherwise, this would be potentially brutal, but they do have the Gambit ult coming into it. Surely it's read by Swamp Gaming into the sky. Doesn't catch anyone, no.
The fact that he missed right there too, you saw the white box go push all the way up, and that would have been a huge first pick considering the Chime is at 91% onto the ultimate. Stinkers waking up a little bit, finding Valentina, the backline getting torn apart from Swamp Gaming after we were just highlighting how good it is for them to try to kite away, and now NRG Shock, they take the point back.
Yeah, they've really done a good job at just like living, even though they're down one in these cases. And yeah, like you mentioned, Chime not getting stuck in that ultimate was huge. And on the White Fox and the triple comp has looked great. Also, the charm is something you have to kind of worry about too. And now you have to come into this, have a big Lartrox, but it's gonna be tough against these strats. You know, maybe you can get it in the middle of it. We'll see if it gets deleted though. As you can see, they're playing patient, they're playing slow for it. But does NRG Shock get caught out? It looks like yes, Windows goes down.
Oh, huge here with the invisible boundary, allowing Forky Dog and the rest of Swamp Gaming to get a little more aggressive, but they have to try to re-push here because at 99%, is anyone here to force the overtime? It does, and with 2 picks in favor for Swamp Gaming, they move in for the free real estate. NRG Shock just trying to back away, trying to delay what could happen with Madara being the only one left. It's just a matter of time before the flip comes through and the reset for NRG Shock, but I really like the way that they've been trying to play a lot more split. Mello just trying to take an off angle here, and if you take a look at these ultimates, Swamp Gaming don't have that sustain, where NRG Shock really don't have it either to really match, but the velocity is the closest one to that Rage Royal Flush in this triple strat lineup.
Yeah, at least they get rid of Mello's ultimate, and, you know, I like how they play this in this sort of triple hit squad with all their strats at the same position. Stinkers gets pulled away, but heals back up to full HP, slowing down Window is huge. If they can find Window early, at least get some cooldowns out, that's nice for Mello to build up towards his ultimate. Kratz to go off as well as Window gets removed early on, and that was because of the cooldowns they used earlier. Now with Hulk going off, this is going to slow down anything on the opposite angle. Stinkers pops the ult, but they're missing your backline. Kratz is destroying everybody. That's free in this fight. Stinkers, what can you do by yourself? The portal, it might be too late from Window now as they're down one by one. We're headed to the next round, Vicky, as Swamp takes the first one.
Kraz opening the door real quick. Hulk plays. Socks are still up after the action we were just seeing yesterday. And now Kraz is here to put on a display. Beautiful retake here from Swamp Gaming, and a great way to start our first round within our first series of the day, dog man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see how they keep playing it, because I mean, for NRG, like, the tough part is they have all these ultimates that are like, you know, let's group up, play together, right? But then the problem is that that's against Daze and Melophobia, who have ultimates that, you know, can benefit from that, right? Like, everybody kind of groups up together. Oh, great, we're connected by a giant wolf. Oh, awesome, we're connected by Melo with the Glartrox, you know? And I don't think this fight's gonna be any different, because they could go for a fast play here, Vicky. Like, we've seen Portal TP plays happen, right?
Yeah, a bunch of times, right? I mean, we literally just saw the TP plays from both sides at the very beginning of our first round. We even saw a Dr. Strange man go out just yesterday. It was kind of crazy trying to deny our first series the opportunity to recontest, yet to no avail as we come out of the gates. It was actually one of the Swamp Gaming's series just yesterday too. So with Window now rolling out, Madara having the Heartbreaker, you're talking about Forky Dog and the sustainability that both Forky and Valentine will have for this first fight.
We go in, I mean, early ultimate from Forky with Daze, but Daze actually got charmed out of it, I believe, so his ult gets set down.
Oh, wow.
Forky with the KO on the velocity slower. They're not charmed, it was slowed down by Madara's ultimate because of it. It was sent down lower. Daze does get one on the trade, though, so they're actually coming out on top. Swamp is one by one. Also going with the team up with the Hulk that get thrown in there. Valentina slowing down this push. After Velocity's Raging Royal Flush runs out, everybody the Avamoto again. That was big in the last map from Scatter, but this time it's slowed down because of Velocity's ultimate. They're able to go ham. Madara finally getting those KOs with Window, and with that, they're getting the revenge, right? That's the big thing. Daze was slowed down in that fight due to Madara's ultimate, and honestly, that's the kind of takeaway I'm having here, Vicky, is that Madara is playing so much better now on this next map.
It's a lot easier on this round in comparison to the first round, I feel like, too, right? Getting all brawly once you come out of the tunnels, it gets a lot easier into trying to take over that first fight, and now they have the momentum and the point first as well. Chime, even on Energy Shock's side, also has that Kumihyo Unleash, whereas Swamp Gaming, you have to be careful because you know Mello is gonna get a little sneaky and try to get that Glartrox over to the side of the point to get everybody off to get environmental KOs.
Yeah, great point, and I'm sure they're gonna play around on the opposite side. Daze going in early first. I mean, they have to give up point control basically because of it and then come back in, and it works. Oh my goodness, Daze fully countered, like you mentioned, is playing towards the main. Forky trades back Window, though. He's trying to negate this backline presence, but he'll take that trade. He can come back quickly on the Venom, and Chime also to try to stall it out a little bit longer into that Fox ultimate, just kind of dumping around, containing the objective. But eventually, you talked about him, he's hard to contain. Melophobia with 3 in the fight.
And off of the Glartrox KO onto Chime, who was in the middle of the Kumihyo Unleash. Unlucky, and a stagger. If they could find this Venom, would be even bigger, but Window managed to get away just in time. Stinkers could let the Devil out, followed up with Madara, who has the Heartbreaker, and they've been timing it too, because look at Forky Dog. Close to that invisible boundary, that would go big, because Swamp Gaming will not have the sustainability if they do not call it out before the Heartbreaker comes in.
Oh my goodness. That was the whole throw into shift, but no, nice job. Dash it back to the team, Vicky. That was smart play. Huge movement by the side of Chime, but eventually it's taken out. I mean, too many cooldowns used in that case. Unfortunately, 4 times. Stinker trying to trade it back, but just gets negated again. The peel too heavy for the side of Melophobia, and Swamp Gaming now up 2 in this fight. Eventually going to deal with the objective as well, unless they can maybe clutch up with Strat ults, but they're going to have to try to wait for player advantage again.
Melo's just built different, like, consistently. That was insane here. You see, Let the Devil Unleash gets domed to the head real quick, while Melo, nice little stun though, having to be careful. Looking on the other side of it with Window, and Daze actually isolates him. Window will be able to come back with Feast of the Abyss, but look at Velocity. He's got the Raging Royal Flush, and together with Chime, they can deal a lot of that damage output together with Window if he wants to get the anti-heal down.
This is tough dealing with Daze's Fearful. I mean, he can play Wolverine, he can play the Daredevil, and it doesn't really matter what you ban besides that, right? You get rid of the Gambit, but you still have to deal with him doing so much. They go in, Raging Roll Flush, like you said, Vicky, but can they find anything? Can Sneakers find the KOs? Yes, finally, able to take down Forky. That's a huge one. I was massive, though. It takes it on the 3, but Sneakers was not one of those, right? Everybody else run down. Sadly, it was a huge ult by Scatter, but nobody was there to follow up because of this man running rampant. Nice plays by Stinkers to go in aggressively with the Raging Roll Flush, just gets those cooldown resets, and I mean, Swamp Gaming strategists that can't live against that.
It's one of those moments where if you're Scattergeggy, you look behind you after getting 3 in the Eye of Agamotto, and then there's no follow-up potential. Unlucky because Stinkers is just having his way with that backline, and look at this. He's about to let the Devil out with already 58% in terms of his ultimate, and Renko is right there still holding on to the invisible boundary here, and they are able to flip the point back in their favor as Swamp Gaming were nearing that 86% before Stinkers goes back up again, and Daze is not having a good time here with Swamp Gaming forcing out this fastball special.
Yeah, nice reads by Renko there. The switch to Invisible Man off of the last map has been massive for them. Also, the Glartrox to the backside, it gets healed off. So great work out of the strat play. And then, honestly, yeah, Forky switching this Invis has been massive. The Force Physics to bring Medora back in. Melo's there with the follow-up. And really, this entire fight feels like it was kind of carried by Forky Dog. Kraz slams down to the ground. Stinkers, too. Daze on the opposite side did get countered by Renko. but it didn't matter because of, well, the presence of everybody else in the squad. 94% too. They have to get a quick TP off play in the spawn, otherwise it's over.
The way that they're playing, once they get to dive in, grouped up together with nobody able to touch, they cannot. With them trickling in, NRG Shocker out, and Swamp Gaming in a dominating fashion get to take the first map.
Yeah, huge map win out of them. I mean, it was so back and forth. Like, it just felt like whoever, the Daredevil was being focused a little bit more on that map, and then same thing with Daze on the Wolverine.
Yeah.
But he just got too much value, and this guy as well just was the consistent factor of Swamp Gaming. Just a constant, you know, backbone of the squad with 17 final hits, was able to do whatever he wanted with Forky and Valentina, and then on the opposite side for NRG, they just got sort of picked apart. They had their moments, Vicky, right? But I don't know about you, it just felt like at the right moments, at those crucial timing windows, Swamp Gaming just always found like a force physics or just set up Daze in some way.
It was just the fact that Mello was just constantly able to follow up, and while everybody from NRG wanted to go back and reset, he would catch them on the lane in his line of sight. 23.8 thousand damage right here with 17 final hits, as you mentioned. He went down 3 times, while Krabs was also a stalled demon on the Hulk. Dogman has been making their rounds within the MRI, and I am here for it. Scattered too, even if he didn't get that follow-up off of those Ayabagamotos, was still able to help back up the backline that is Forky Dog and Valentina. And then you look on the other side, you know, was the triple strat really the play with that ultimate charge nerf? We're gonna have to see as we switch things up and we go on to another map. On the other side of this break, we got game number 2.
거침없이 난다 겁없이 뛰어가 fly mode be breath free shining flying higher feel the spark of light mode 우리 눈을 위로 더 rise up 사라져 fade away moonlight gonna burn the night out every time my heart's flight we go higher eyes wide right through the starlights 차가운 공기속을 realize 지금이야 take flight we're dancing on the moonlight 소음꿔버려 turning up the heat gonna get it high we're switching up the lead rules mixing up the crystals all they want to know how we do it now it's time to switch the flight mode wake up wake up wake up wake up feel it feel it feel it feel it
Hello and welcome back to Marvel Rivals Ignite Preseason Americas. This is day 3 of week 1. Zoe here, joined by Dogman and Vicky Kitty, and we're about to break down map 1 and set you up for map 2 and our expectations heading into it. First of all, of course, I'm happy to see the Hulk stonks continue to be on the rise, Vicky Kitty. We finally got to see Hulk in action, like quite a lot actually yesterday. It found a lot of success, and we see that continuing. Do you expect that to be just like very team specific, or is Hulk like definitely back in the meta now with the most recent patch?
I think it's team specific too, because I don't think a lot of teams, at least in Americas, are as comfortable running the fastball special. Like when I talked to the Swamp Gaming coach, they said that they're pretty confident that they're one of the only teams that have been able to utilize it at the best of their ability. So I think, you know, maybe depending on the map that we go to is also another thing to try to deal with expecting a dive Vanguard to try to go into your backline.
Right now we do see Shin Shibuya is being picked by Energy Shock. Of course, the loser is picking the upcoming map. Dogman, how do you feel about this? Also, do you think like they will be running that triple strategist backline again? Energy Shock, it looked volatile for them in map 1.
I mean, I know they like this map, and it's just, yeah, I think it depends on like I guess the end of the ban phase, but yeah, it does feel like, at least in North America, I don't know, teams just don't really play the Mantis triple stuff very well. You know, whether that be like just the KO potential, whatever it is, it just doesn't feel like we've seen a good Mantis team in North America just yet. I don't know, but like the comp is sort of last patch. I feel like it was really good because of the ultimate charge rate and stuff. You know, now that we're reducing it by 20% in the last patch is a big deal. And I think that the strategists are actually like the ebb and flow of the strongest heroes in the game. It's going back kind of over towards those duelists and towards even Vanguards, like you said with you and Vicky said about the Hulks. Like Hulk players are just kind of running rampant right now, and we saw like Medora popping off on the Rogue too. Like I just feel like it's not that good in North America specifically.
Another thing I want to highlight here as well, looking at Swamp Gaming, obviously like a very dominant performance here on map 1. Yes, Energy did fight back, but they did lose momentum in Swamp Gaming, then just kind of overwhelmed them. It was so interesting to see Daze back in the mix here alongside Mello. Yesterday, Amadian was in, but it feels like no matter who they're swapping in and out, like they're not missing a beat. Like they just step in step. It just seems so seamless.
Yeah, I also like when you take a look at the opposition, you look at Chime, it's like, okay, Chime started on White Fox, and obviously the triple strat, like you mentioned, so it didn't work out, you know, and I think Swamp Gaming were ready to see with their pick and ban systems how that was going to play out for them when you were forced to run the triple strat and spread out that energy in terms of that ult charge. But that was just game number 1, guys. Let's get this started, Zoe.
Absolutely. Swamp Gaming currently on match point. Can Energy Shock bring it back? Let's find out.
Starting off back to the ban phase again, game number 2, right? And like we mentioned, like this could be the potential number 1 seed of the group, Vicky. Like this could be the determining team just based off the early matches, and we'll see if 100 Thieves can bounce back. But for Swamp Gaming, they're immediately going for that same thing before, where they go for the Elsa, and then on the opposite side, it's the Gambit yet again for Energy Shock.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that too? Because time is of the essence in the pick and ban phase, you know, when a best of 3, it can be dicey because you only have so much time to make that adaptation with Energy still prioing the Gambit and Swamp Gaming prioing the Elsa. Why not, right? Because if you're not going to ban out the Elsa, immediately you wanted to make sure that you don't deal with the Gambit instead. You're still just going to allow Swamp Gaming to pop off with that Elsa.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest ban so far. Like, I just think the whole tournament, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. You'd probably agree, Vicky, but it does feel like, I mean, unless they have a really bad Elsa player, which most teams don't, it feels like, yeah, really, yeah, you become server admin. Like, Gambit can enable the team, sure, and you get the Daredevil and stuff, but it really feels like Elsa is kind of just like a step above everybody else almost, right? Like,
yeah, and then you try to do the triple strat too, and then you take that away from the Raging Royal Flush timing that it actually gets to come up, so hopefully they're able to try to combo this, because with the protection over on the Star-Lord on Shin Shibuya, I do like this combo. You have a lot of verticality, a lot of building to work off of, and you and I, you know, we played a lot, and I feel like you could definitely see it with the choke right there on Shin Shibuya. It gets really tricky. For Energy, they're starting on the attack. You want to be able to burst down that damage in the building over to the left side, so that way you could clear at least more space, so that way you have more open sight lines, and then try to split attention from that back line that's trying to keep up the defensive team, in this case Swamp Gaming, from being able to actually re-sustain. Renko going over to the Jeff. We saw a lot of Jeff play in the first 2 series of our day just yesterday, and I think it was really interesting because it also goes hand in hand with how map dependent that could be with the piercing healing and damage that Jeff provides.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and yeah, because you have to play it with the Venom, or just at least with triple and stuff. But I don't know. This doesn't feel like enough of a change to me. I like the Star-Lord Protect. Like, you could see their idea was, okay, you know, the Rogue team up wasn't that powerful as you know, Mandara was kind of shut down by Swamp, so we have to go back over to Star-Lord. And, you know, I guess in their head, it's like, okay, every time we do the Raging Roll Flush with Velocity on the Gambit, every time we press the ultimate, it's not a free fight win button like it used to be in the previous patch. And the only way to make it a free fight win button is to, you know, combine it with Chime. And Big-Headed Jeff, we'll see if he can pop off this map alongside Swamp Gaming, who are doing a very similar thing, Vicky, that they did in the previous map, running out the Hulk yet again, team up with Daze.
Oh, so hopping off here of the Jeff, so you won't have the Jeff and Venom team up real quick. Chime just making sure to check that nobody is dwelling around here from Swamp Gaming, and just changing things up before Renko swaps right back over to the Jeff. And it's funny, too, because every time I look at Jeff with those big eyes, man, I can't help but think about my dog kind of replicating those eyes. But it's a little deadly, too, with the way that Jeff could get into these different off angles. You can already see Daze getting shut down with a great bubble coming out from Madara, who's on the Magneto. Stinkers on the Daredevil is already prowling around, and Kraz is ready to try to help heal and stop either of the diving Vanguards from trying to harass them.
Yeah, ultra aggressive, but able to kind of get out with their lives. Cooldowns, though, used, and, you know, they're trying to counter this hard engage by the Vanguards as long as, like, Window can live, and he's actually done a really good job at that. I'm just kind of curious how Madara plays this, too, because they do have the invis to potentially counter that Wolf and stuff,
Nice.
but it doesn't matter. Sneakers just gets deleted on the inside angle. They go for their dive, and, well, it doesn't really happen because you just come back to peel the Wolf. You go for those team-up pulls and pushes again. We're just going to try to farm ultimate now at this point, right? Like, just get that Star-Lord, get that Gambit ultimate, but, you know, you already lost the first team fight and you're down a minute, Vicky. That's kind of rough.
And now Chime is kind of in the back line, too. They've noted where he's at, and Daze getting called out by Stinkers after they were able to isolate him over to that side, and Daze says, I am out of there. He dipped so quickly over the top of that roof, while Velocity's still over to the side. Take a look at that Raging Royal Flush. Forky Dog is ready with the invisible boundary to try to match that, but it's so difficult, too, for Invisible Woman to survive when you're also at threat of these antis. By the way, Chime is not contested, and Window gets stuck in the room of death, it looks like, because everybody's forehead is touching the roof.
Yeah, this just ain't it so far, man. Like, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's 2 fights now, and Melo's just been doing whatever he wants on top of Forky getting those pulls. There's just not enough damage. Like, I don't even think we forced out Daze's passive once. He still has the overhealth if he goes to 1 HP, as you can see by that little shield icon next to his HP pool. And Daze is even just going more proactive, looking for time in the back line. I mean, this has been brutal. I really, looking back at it, don't like the ban phase and how it's gone so far, just because we're trying to play this Gambit stuff. It seems like, I mean, so far, you can kind of ignore playing Gambit comp. We'll see in this upcoming fight, though, as we do finally have that Star-Lord alongside the Raging Roll Flush.
I agree. Some teams are better with it, as a slam down on the last stand finds the strats. Daze, it's hit its mark with the bullseye, and now it's another stagger pass coming out on the hands of Swamp Gaming onto NRG, and then Kraz, of course. The fact that Swamp Gaming have allowed this whole comp to work to help to deal with any sort of dive oppression has been chef's kiss.
Yeah, it has. I mean, they have to make this fight, too. They have to make it work, rather, Vicky, here. Either, you know, a big Meteor M at the end of this, but at least get that Gambit ultimate, at least get the Star-Lord ult in the sky. You know, maybe we can get KOs even through Straddle. Finally, no, Velocity, you can't get picked this early. You're the only ult. We've played, Vicky, they've played for just this combo. Just the Star-Lord, just the Gambit, the entire game. And they haven't even gotten it off once. We're at 50 seconds left to go, man. We gotta just not get picked. The stagger KOs have been brutal.
It's so hard when Melo is looking down the lane, able to find some of these trickling in strats that are trying to back away, and then you had that one really big satter between Daze and Chime. Stinkers is now going onto the Wolverine. They have their ultimates online. Swamp Gaming are holding onto theirs. Daze is close to another final stand, and with a winning hand, can it be a winning hand or a losing hand? We have to see. With the invisible boundary, Window does find Valentina. That's a big pick, because he won't have the Ninetales to keep you alive. Madara tries to send Melo, though, on again Jutsu, and with an Eye of Agamotto, it misses his mark here over to the side, but at least finds Renko. Madara gets stunned. Meteor M to try to help him reset. It goes up. It slams down onto Forky Dog. Big pick off, as Valentina does make their way back, though. The sustain could come in for a delay. NRG, though, have now already planted their feet on this point, and it's back to the drawing board as Swamp Gaming may want to recontest here with Forky Dog having a portal.
Yeah, they smart play. Scatter was the last one to die on the Doctor's range, so Forky has to switch over to it off the support in the meantime. So that saves them this point recontest. And Daze, or rather Stinkers has the ultimate now back on Wolverine. Also, Valentina's ult runs out, so we have really nothing to sustain. but they got the retouch. I imagine they just want to build as much time, rather, or build ultimates for the next fight. It was a valiant effort. It was tough because I think Scatter going down, it's always rough to see your Doctor Strange as the point is camped by NRG. Go down last just because you're like, damn, that's the one guy we need to die first if we want to lose anybody, right? Like, it's tough, but regardless, NRG's in the second point because of that combo, Vicky, and they didn't even get that much out of it. It was a little dicey at points, right? They had to commit a ton to that fight, but as long as they can keep that up, just don't get stagger KO'd and build your Gambit Star-Lord, right? Like, that's their only freaking composition purpose. As long as they can do that, they're probably fine, but we'll see if they can get to at least the end of the map, because that was a long hold for Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, it's like the ready, set, go button, right? That's the win condition that you want as another kidnap comes in, this time from the hands of NRG, and the final stand tries to come out with Stinkers. At least Chime follows up to find Scatter in the process. Kraz, though, has that same stall potential that we keep seeing. Galactic Legend is online, and guess what? The Rage and Royal Flush is short to follow. And with a stun onto Madara, and with them losing window, they can go back to the drawing board. Swamp Gaming trying to get into position, and here comes a Rage and Royal Flush. All that's on red, it looks like, as Chime is flying around. Melo's looking up. A great protection, but they need to shut down the Star-Lord in the sky.
Yeah, it really is just press Q when you win the game button with those two, right? It's tough. But I like the switch for Stinkers over to the Wolverine as well. Like, how Scatter Genji's playing this Doctor Strange is hyper-aggressive, so as long as he can maybe pick him off and, you know, they can play to counter Scatter's aggressive playstyle as well, maybe get bubble to Stinkers, he could have the advantage. But Daze just comes from the sky with the Wolverine, or with the Hulk for now, but they have to give up space. Oh my god, what a yeet of a brutal. I don't think that connected. It hit the wall, and now he's brought back. What a brutal situation for Window, as that's a reset back to spawn.
Yeah, that's the final stand right there that the last stand that we were used to seeing here from Daze, and now NRG have to reset. Great stall now coming out from Kraz after being able to go Omega Buster World Breaker Hulk, and I'm just, again, a beautiful display of the Hulk's plays that we've been able to see. Fastball special still in hand, and Swamp Gaming have these ultimates online. 4 exactly after you just saw them just use up 2. He yeets them out. The Groot is the victim on the other side. They try to pull him back, but he's slicing with 99 wood cutting. Window tries to run away. Stinkers finds Scatter, and Forky pulls him back, so it's a trade up from the Vanguards.
Yeah, that Glortrox connecting on the 2 allowed them to get those KOs, but somehow they haven't lost too many people. They have only 5 seconds to touch, though, and somebody's got to get on. They're brought back by the Wolverine in the skies. The Meteor M! Madara! What a dunk! That could be saved. That could actually save them on this map, because they're going to get stagger KOs on the point, too. Scatter is going to come back with that Doctor Strange ult, but it's a little awkward now. We want to probably reset, get back to 6, and then come back into the fight. But that dunk onto Melo has been massive. Upcoming fight, I think Daze could be huge with this Wolverine ultimate. That could stuff everything, but Stinkers as well has the very same opportunity. He has to shut down Scatter with this Eye of Agamotto.
The fact that Melo saw that in slow motion too. Here comes Chime though, floating in from the high ground. Nobody to contest them. See Valentina up on the high ground too. And with no final stand here in the hands of Daze, Stinkers has it instead and has found Scatter consistently. At least for the BRB and the rocket swap up from Forky Dog, they could come back and go in for a quick reset and a recontest. Overtime taking away. NRG cannot get off this point.
Scatter brought back in, has the eye, but he can't do anything. Wait a second, the Raging Roll Flush alongside the Wolf Ult, yes, but are the KOs here? The ante comes out, and they do. Cap out in overtime, it looks like. They tried to do something, but yeah, Scatter's going to switch off to Doctor Strange. He's being countered a little bit too hard, I think. You know, off of the Daredevil and onto the Wolverine has been a unique swap, and it's kind of worked for them so far, Vicky, as Stinkers was able to close it out with NRG there, moving into third phase.
I agree. I like the fact that they were able to make that swap up with little, you know, they had very little time on that first point, but at least they were able to get that follow-up between the Star-Lord when they did have it in their composition with the Rage and Royal Flush. And now with Chime being on the Phoenix, I like this swap up here too before that third checkpoint, because you have a lot more of these long sight lines, and you can get on top of the bridge, harass them. A big ante allows for a follow-up from Madara to find Daze first.
Yeah, great job. I mean, nice snipe from Madara as well. Instead of on the road, you still get a team up onto that Magneto, but Madara eventually gets tracked down by a Glortrox. Not much you can do about that. And then Kraz is just absolutely going Hulk mode on the back line with Renko going down. Eventually they come back for him, though, and they get him out of Hulk form. So honestly, with how many ults were committed, I mean, Velocities gets to fall back. They use the Glortrox. They also don't have the Wolverine ult. You got to feel somewhat decent about it as you come into this next fight with 30 seconds left. It's last fight territory, but considering how things worked on first point, this is a solid situation to be in for NRG.
It is, at least though for Valentina and Forky Dog, these are the two strats from Swamp Gaming that need to stay alive. They're gonna have to rotate through these ultimates with the dance that Forky Dog has online, as well as Valentina. And the Kumiho Unleashed before the kidnap comes in, and it finds Window. Big pickoff. You won't have the wombo combo with the Strangling Prison. Gambit never folds. They move up. Chime has that extra damage, and so is Madara. He is bursting through it all, and with the Pitiful World trying to have the dance up, you have the Meteor, the weight, but with no follow-up, the hits does not come in. The meatball is back in the fryer, and with the invisible boundary from Renko, every one of these teams are trying to stay alive, even getting booted out of the Nine Tails forms of the Kumiho Unleash.
Yeah, they have to remain healthy. They're coming back onto, full stagger composition with Scatter going onto the Angela as well, just to kind of flow around. Forky's going to come back onto that Rocket Raccoon to make sure his team has the BRB. Kraz does get taken out of Hulk form, though, back into Baby Bruce in the top. And oh my goodness, nice ultimate as well from Window. Connects onto two. Daze and the Anti are here. Scatter's gonna fall. You don't have any more front line. This Wolf Bolt needs to go big, and it might be, no, not really, because the healing is too much there. Madara gets the pocket, Chime there with the follow-up, able to take down two immediately after that ultimate from Window. Nice job to follow up there.
Madara has been playing on fire. The Vanguards haven't really been enabled from Swamp Gaming here, and with Scatter getting kidnapped again now from Stinkers, even after making the Angela swap, nobody is safe on the other side of these claws. Kitty comes here to try to get another dive, and with Madara getting stunned this time at the hands of Daze, Swamp Gaming, they don't have that sustain. Look at Valentina and Forky Dog, even with a BRB, it's just a linger. It's just a matter of time before NRG Shock get this payload to the finish line.
Oh my god. What a play by them with no time left in the bank. Full cap out the map, Vicky. I mean, that's not something I think we expected after first point, right? Like, that was insane. They were just so telegraphed, I think, on the first point, building up towards that Raging Wolf flush with Gambit and Star-Lord. But the real switch was just Stinkers going over to the Wolverine and then Madara sticking on that Magneto. And Vicky, you saw like their plays were so telegraphed, or sorry, so well played. Stinkers would fly into the sky, go aggressive, they'd bubble him, and he'd get a pick, right? On the opposite side for Swamp Gaming, they don't have that bubble advantage with the Magneto since they're running the Hulk, they're running the Doctor Strange, and Daze, he's relying on that team up with Kraz, but then he still has to go against the backline who is Invisible Woman, peeling him off well. Like NRG strats, we haven't talked about them enough. I think Renko, even though they lost the first map, was playing great, and we could talk about this backline maybe a little bit more moving forward because I feel like Renko was popping off alongside Velocities. Now, obviously, you have to take into account first point, Vicky, where Velocities got picked once or twice maybe, but they turned it back around and they stayed vigilant and also rebounded. That's the big thing, is not tilting in these moments, and NRG, remained strong and looked to tie up the series.
And you know what helped out with that, though? And even though Velocity did get picked up a few times, it was the swap up over to the Wolverine. The Wolverine was like the insurance policy that they needed to help cover that backline to make sure that these Vanguards aren't a problem, specifically Kraz, who has been getting shut down consistently. You get some of that extra health, too, with the shield packs before making a quick little swap up here, getting the extra speed boost over to the Jeff Bubbles. Forky Dog swaps over to that Invisible Woman that you were mentioning. And it's that push and pull game that you have with a different look. Valentina going over to the Luna Snow. Chime already up on the high ground. It's going to be able to do a good amount of burst damage already from the high ground here on the building.
Yeah, that's very interesting. He wants to play the Phoenix as well. Just wants to play it slow with the strats, just kind of play to counter the Vanguards a little bit more instead of play the Star-Lord combo. So it's a bit more neutral fight, I think, they get. And also, boom, another cap by Stinkers. Nice pull, Force Physics negates it for now. But he still has the passive because the heals here from the backside angle. Cooldown's out used by both squads, but nobody's down. Valentina, knowing that he's not really dove upon by much, right, just goes for that Luna healing on the backside, right, just knows front to back style, has to play that versus the Thing. Early swap over to that. We'll see if it pans out for him, though, as this fight is just a brutal brawl on the point with the Thing in the hole.
Oh, the bubble! The timing to that. This is going to be so difficult for Daze to make plays happen. Running Wolverine against Thing when they're ready to duff him here. It's the 1v1 of the Pain Brothers, and they find it with the Hulk jumping in thanks to the invisible boundary laid out by Forky Dog. You were just mentioning the importance of the Invisible Woman when you're running into comps like this, and this has allowed Swamp Gaming to take the point first. Could expect here a portal play from NRG Shock just so that way they could try to recontest because Renko does have his own invisible boundary.
Counter portal. And then the kidnap. Wait, did he get the portal off though? I think he did. So the portal is still there, but they're still in the spawn kind of because of this Wolverine. So it's getting messy. Velocities goes down and they take the first point because of that counter portal from Scatter Genki. So that was sick by Scatter. Good read, well timed as well. Like you have to just take the point, go for that portal play, and they do it well. I think that also, Vicky, like, they just had such a more well-practiced first point. Like, you could see NRG was a bit more, I don't know, awkward, you know, getting picked off, not playing for the win condition as hard as Swamp was. Like, they knew they played slow. They had first support ults, first strat ults, and NRG couldn't do anything against that. Now they get to play aggressive in the second phase.
Right, because the one big thing that they really wanted to focus on was the invisible boundary played very aggressively, also cutting out their line of sight. A kidnap though, Kraz is in some trouble. Could get a reset here shortly with the World Breaker, but with Gambit never folding. Raging Royal Flush, you're gonna have the dance off and set. Into both worlds, the Meteor M comes up. Dinner time as the Apex Predator is hungry. Coming out to play. I have Agamotto, but with the stun! I have nothing! As the dive down comes in, it finds Scatter. Thankfully, at least for Kraz, he's got the World Breaker. If he didn't, he would have met himself back in the spawn room gates with Scatter. But that's 2 out for Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, they're still kind of working themselves forward. That was a huge ult by Stinkers, but it didn't end up mattering because of, well, this guy getting through the ban phase, right? Like, Mello is still alive, wasn't the one impacted. The Glartrox as well was big, but, you know, because they didn't have the Star-Lord and stuff, they don't really get to, you know, continue on in their forward momentum. Like, the Phoenix just, I don't know, hasn't done that much compared to the server admin that you talked about, Vicky. Like, Mello's that guy.
That's why Chime's forced to be on the Phoenix, right, too? Because they're the ones that can't play the Elsa. Elsa was banned against them. That was the prio here. As Window does have that strangling prison. He builds up the house. Daze gets the kidnap. Invisible boundary allows Swamp Gaming to keep running it down. Here comes a fastball special, and unfortunately, Madara is the next victim on the Amber Alert. And Swamp Gaming get the second checkpoint.
Yeah, this is, we probably got to switch off the Phoenix now at this point. I don't know, like, maybe go back to the Star-Lord even, just because, I mean, the real reason you're playing this Gambit comp is to just build ults, get free fight wins. But if we can't even get, like, a free fight win with Raging World Rush, why are we prioritizing the Gambit so much, right? Like, because
I agree.
You see, yeah, like, Mello in the neutral is doing way more than Chime right now, and I think it's just maybe hero gap, like, straight up. Like, Stinkers on the backside angle has also been doing a ton on Wolverine, but this time gets red on his off angle. 4 minutes and 7 seconds left on third point is crazy time bank to work with too, Vicky.
It looked like a horror movie, too. Like, they came out of left field right there, and they were ready for it. So the bubble coming up from Kraz as the last stand comes crashing down onto nothing, but goes back to their team. Kraz yeets out Daze, looks for an opportunity. Nice movement to get in through to the backline into the safety of the rest of the Kraz Swamp Gaming's backline. I have Agamotto, only finds Stinker, and it was a solo ult that is the nail in the coffin. NRG, though, do have that Meteor M. If Valentina finds Chime, is it really worth it to go all the way up as it slams on the other side of that shield?
I think this is the first time they were able to take down Mello. Nice job over to the Emma too to walk forward from one. Madara, but still, Daze plays it patient, takes Window back into the fight. That was the first time they actually able to do something about him. But his backline's been safe so far. We'll see if they can keep it up. Invisible boundary here, met by a better ultimate, I believe, from Swamp Gaming's Dance Floor. But the M ult slows everything down. On the back angle, here comes the Phoenix ultimate to try to find the KOs in it, but cannot. Now comes on the backside. They have nothing besides Stinker's ult in the back angle, but it doesn't matter because Valentina has found first or second pick multiple times in a row now.
Oh no! Velocity's stuck! He has nowhere to go! No protection! And Window is gonna be able to go back. No way! He's getting oh no, he got stunned, he got stunned. Nice. To the other side, they're getting ready for it.
Yeah, that was a really good stun on a scatter to stop that because that could have ended it. Good call out there, Vicky. And now Daze coming into that Magneto trying to touch, but we don't really have a ton of time. And against Wolverine, Claws going ham. He needs Fingers to go big. He comes from the skybox, but did he find anything? He did with Chime on the backside, who is on the Phoenix still. Does get the hit, the spark onto Valentina. Does he want to go for the ult necessarily, or rather the follow through? But they slowed it down at the very last second. Nice job to stun that portal block and come through with the KO.
Big here as Scatter is at least close to the Eye of Agamotto to redeem themselves, and Daze is getting ready because look at this. That last stand is right around the corner. He's gonna yeet them in their direction, tries to move in. Nice little stall here. Just bait him to move back instead. Chime is still stuck on the high ground while Window does have that Meteor M to at least try to deal with Scatter, and Mello with his Glartrox. Look over to the side as they try to go slam it down from the other side of the payload with Gambit never posting from Velocity. Scatter goes all the way up, but a beautiful push off from Renko sends him climbing over on the other side of the bridge. They try to play this aggressively though with the fate of both worlds. They close in the gap. Last stand ready. He slams in. Invisible boundary, though, is out of the line of sight of the last stand, allowing them to get the follow-up, and Mello is able to find Stinkers.
Yeah, they had to use so many cooldowns to save everybody from the Glartrox, their Vanguards. They come back into the fight. Windows ultimate not going to be here. Forky with another KO. Invisible Boundary in an aggressive position because they want to close it out, and they're going to do so, it looks like. They're staggered in. Windows ultimate for next round, sadly, because it's fully capped out for Swamp Gaming, and we're tied up now 1-1. 2 minutes and 15 on the clock, so NRG going to go back up to a minute because of time added. They're going to start on to attack, which is a little scary, Vicky, considering how it went last time. We'll see if they can finally figure things out and maybe get a tick or two.
With how long it took, too, yeah, like I mean, now you have Swamp Gaming with that extra minute and 15 seconds to work off of. I like Valentina, seeing her back again on the Luna, popping off, getting a lot of these follow-ups, and to use the Fate of both worlds to actually play this aggressively, close in that gap, and capitalize it too, right? You saw the invisible boundary from the side of Renko was a slightly, like a pixel short, because that last stand was able to slam down outside of the invisible boundary, get that first pick, and then everything just started snowballing for Energy Shock after that.
Yeah, this will be curious to see what the side of NRG want to do. Like, you could tell, I mean, Valentina's playing the White Fox for, like, the counter dive sort of style, right? Like, you're trying to come back, you're trying to help peel, but didn't need to because, I mean, there's no real divers besides, like, stinkers onto the Wolverine. You know, if he was on Daredevil, maybe it'd be different, but because of that, I mean, Valentina, you talked about it, just so free, able to get so much damage and healing at the same time, and NRG's not able to do much. We'll see on their attack, though. It's as you said, Vicky, like, can they figure out this first point? Can Chime do something with the ultimate? And maybe Madara going over to that Emma France could be the game changer as well, with him just kind of taking all that damage coming in and able to walk up. But we'll see if they could do it, right?
Also allowing at least Madara, because we've seen Madara so many times. The OG when it comes to Emma, I was thinking like Madara and TTK when it comes to just that hero. And Madara being able to get that choke slam onto Daze. It also has to be with just baiting out these bubbles from Kraz, who's very on top of trying to help out that backline and helping enable Mello, who sees the Wolverine, tries to find more of these shots at the window. They want to capitalize. There's only so much Window can do when he's stuck on the backline of Swamp Gaming. And it's almost like a replication of what we had seen before, even with some of these swaps, Dogman.
Yeah, they both did it. Both Wolverines took the other Vanguards on a absolute ride. But Chime, nice shot onto Valentina. Another one on the Daze. Okay, Chime, in the neutral, that's what you want to see. That's the point of this Phoenix. So, you know, nice work to take out Valentina, who is over to the White Fox. And honestly, even on first point, I still would be okay with Valentina going over to the Luna instead, because you don't have ult for this upcoming fight. You've given up 2 ticks. NRG, they cap out the point, Vicky. No way. We're into the second phase of the map.
Overtime to get away means that they cannot get off this point. Chime just trying to already look ahead to make sure that nobody's going to try to recontest them. It's a good opportunity, though, for Swamp Gaming to build up those ultimates. Mello is close to that Apex Predator. You look at Energy Shock, though, with Velocity being on the Cloak and Dagger. The Eternal Bond will absolutely help out because Swamp Gaming do not have a Magneto. The slam down, though, into the Diamond form. Thanks to Madara, they scatter one, but he gets to survive. Chime doesn't find the finishing mark, and with the Glartrox coming in, you're ready with the Invisible Boundary. It forces it out.
Yeah, that was clean play from NRG so far to at least get that out, but you know, they do have straddles, double straddles coming up. Forky has to save Kraz, who got hooked, but same with Daze getting Chime. Nice work, who had the ultimate. He has to come back from the spawn. Velocity doesn't have ult yet, and they're getting absolutely rained down towards this cart, and unfortunately the tankiness of Emma Frost in that diamond form is not enough to stay on the cart, but they still made it 36 meters in the second phase, Vicky, as NRG with that cap has made this a very interesting next attack for Swamp Gaming.
Yeah, is that minute and 15 seconds going to be enough to get through this very tight choke that we all have learned to love in Shichibuya is the question mark. And I just seeing these Wolverines play out, even from the very beginning, it's cinematic, right? Like, get me off this ride, please. But Daze and Stinkers making these adjustments and dealing with these Vanguards, as well as Energy Shock being able to also change their Vanguard lineup. Window has been doing a good job with these bubbles. Is it going to be enough, though, to deal with the damage output that we're also seeing from Kraz and Scatter, as well as Madara being on the Emma Frost, being able to get the choke slam onto Daze when they can? It's just hard, too, right? When you have to deal with the backline still from Swamp Gaming, just helping with so much sustainability onto both of these Vanguards.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very well-coached team. I think you called it out with, it was the Glartrox for that invisible boundary. Like, that was the turning point in that second phase. Like, Swamp read that. They knew that, okay, we don't get anything with the Glartrox, but we get out their invisible boundary, and we just back up, we disengage, then you get that pick on the Chime. So, like, Chime, give it thing, take it, right? Like first point, Chime found 2. And in second point, Chime was the one that got found, sadly. So we'll see. Both of these Wolverines have been impactful to these first points, right? Like both of them flying in the sky. They both have characters that could throw them. Thing and Hulk, who has the stronger arm. I think they're both probably about the same, actually, considering they can get those picks. But I think Kraz last time was the one to get traded out, who was the one that threw Daze. We'll see as it goes. Like both Vanguards, definitely the focus. As you know, potentially the real downside is a Wolverine going to not get it picked this first point. That's really going to look at how does this strat play counter the aggressive Wolverine.
The point of view of Vanguard, it's like looking up and it's the William Dafoe meme of the Wolverine flying right above your head to try to get the kidnap real quick. And Daze is ready from the back, trying to get into the opportunity, maybe bait them out to make them think they're going over to the right side, to get more attention before going back to the shield. I like this positioning. A nice freeze, though, forces Sinkers to get exiled, but no follow potential. It's about trying to waste out more of those ability cooldowns. Kraz literally one shot gets the hold over to the Bruce Banner. Big first pick, tries to delete the oppression that Swamp Gaming had on their advantage in terms of the time bank.
Yeah, that was sick. I think like both Vanguards with CC immunity playing towards that front line. And you don't, there's no choice that Daze can make that's correct, right? You do have at least one on the high ground. And this is where Swamp Gaming has the advantage to some degree, although a kidnap comes through on the back angle, they have to trade it. As NRG, you know, they have this thorn on their side, and his name is Melophobia. Into the sky, though, with the Hulk into Daze. Can find one. Chime goes down again. That's early pick off. No strat ults to save them in time, sadly. As we do use the Invisible Boundary at the very least on Swamp Gaming's side, maybe NRG will have a shot because they have both strat ults coming up. But this is going to be a very interesting play to see if Chime gets picked again.
It depends on how much space you can build up really quickly. That's how you're seeing 3 members of Swamp Gaming push all the way up while they still have their other remaining members hold on to the point here. They're trying to create more of this space because they know that these ultimates are coming up online. If they could get one of those first initial picks, it goes even bigger, but instead, it's Stinkers who finds Valentina, delaying that strat ult as the finish line is so close.
Yeah, but they have 30 seconds left, so they'll have the close spawn. They could actually build double support ult or strat ult again. Maybe, but it's going to be really close. They know they have to find a pick here because NRG's position, right? Daze has to go into the sky and maybe force out a straddle somehow. But it's going to be dicey, right? Melo maybe has to go in aggressively. Wait, Madara's almost dead, but they don't use the straddle. Oh my goodness, that's really patient until Velocity's never really comes back through with one. With 4 seconds left, we have to touch. Here comes Madara's ult to CC on the cart, but we still don't have straddle. Scatter or Kraz or Melo have to make a play here or stall out. Lartrox in the back line. Is it enough? The invisible boundary is there. Madara finds Scatter, so he's going to be gone out of the fight. No Eye of Agamotto here. Renko doesn't have that ult running out in this fight. Maybe we can find something with Kraz into the Hulk ultimate, but he gets taken down really low. The Thing also here towards that point to keep his team secured. But can they find a KO before Forky built up another invisible boundary? And we have nothing to counter this. Daze gets one. The Thing slammed into the ground, met by the claws of Valentina. And that's going to be it. Like you mentioned, Vicky, one after another. Forky was able to build that ult because they played so slowly, and Daze just capitalizes and slowly walks over their remaining corpses. As now, Swamp Gaming are going to 2-0 NRG.
Head on a stake. The moment I saw that invisible boundary up from Forky Dog, I knew that Valentina will have the Kumiho unleashed, and I also knew that Doctor Strange was able to portal right back in since Doctor Strange was one of the first ones out. Huge performance in a very close Shinshibuya game number 2 with our first series to open up our last day of the first week of the Marvel Rivals Ignite preseason here in the Americas region.
That was an absolute banger, Vicky. Swamp Gaming, well-deserved win. Like, they're just such a well-coached team. Like, Fox does a great job with the squad.
Yeah.
And you could see, like, even though they had moments where Chime got picks and stuff, they didn't panic, right? They set up, they took the advantages they had. They didn't press them too far forward. And, you know, look at that. Just a phenomenal game across the board. And you could see, you know, you could talk about that Melo getting Elsa pick being a big boon. And it kind of was, right? But what a game out of Swamp Gaming.
Dude, the fact that Melo was 57-5, like every time we would pan out from Melo, you would see the KO feed and you would see like 3-4 more meet their maker, and it was on the other side of Melo. Even if these Glartroxes weren't huge, it's about displacement and being able to call it out together with Daze, who was so disruptive, pulling a lot of the members of NRG outside of these strat ults too, helped them out, both on the attack and defense, honestly. Valentina Forky Dog coming into fruition with Forky Dog being the MVP with 65k healing. We were highlighting Velocity and Renko at some points too. Yes, that strat backline was getting harassed. The question mark for me was, Dogman, Was the Cloak and Dagger necessary here? The Cloak ended up with the 47.1k in terms of healing, and maybe not so many as finals that you could get when it comes to that Terror Cape too. So maybe a lot more of these damage windows coming in. No, not enough of these follow-ups from Chime, even though Chime was popping off with 11 final hits. Madara with 17, by the way, after making that swap up to the Emma, was a big highlight. But if anything, this series alone at least told me that these are two of probably the best teams that we've seen thus far, at least in terms of all the games that we've had in the last 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely, Vicky. And I'm curious what Zoe's thoughts are on everything, because that was a banger matchup, right?
It really was, and quite frankly, it did not look like it would be at the very beginning of this map. Energy Shock's game plan has just been completely dismantled, right? They had a very clear idea of wanting to focus on that Star-Lord and Gambit combo, and Swamp Gaming just like made them stagger. They just didn't let them actually ever gain that momentum. So the entire attack push from Energy Shock was a grueling grind. Like, it was not pretty, it was not smooth, it was so staggered. They really just had to like brawl it out there to even finish the map with absolutely no time. For them to be able to come back again and put up such a good defense, bringing it into OT, and then even in OT, like making it come down to the wire, yeah, that goes to show like what high caliber teams we're looking at here, which are definitely going to fight for those top spots in the group.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like realistically, I don't know if there's not a lot of teams that have the synergy that like Swamp Gaming have. Like you can see, because I mean, their strategists were building so many ults and then also didn't use them at inopportune times. Like they just played to their game plan well. And I didn't think they would build Stratus ults in that last fight. They were so far away. I think Valentine was 40%, Forky was like 20% at like 20 seconds left. So Forky built up 80% ult charge in like 10 seconds. So that was crazy well played by them.
Yeah,
it really was. Yeah,
the fact that...
Vicky, like, what were your thoughts, like, generally looking at the ban phase seemed to just favor Swamp Gaming here? Like, how did Energy Shock, like, what did they actually do in order to keep themselves alive here? Like, can you pinpoint it?
Stop letting this Elsa go through. We gotta stop having Melo get Elsa. Like, Swamp Gaming now have ended week 1, this first week of preseason, 3-0 currently, and they have been on fire. I mean, we heard it from the coach. They think that, I mean, not only have they cashed in their scrim bucks and proven a point for this first week, but they've even detailed where everyone says that they're the best ex-duelist in the region. They put it on display right now because they're the team currently sitting 3-0. Whereas, you know, NRG also had a great performance too, but they did lose out on that one map versus 100 Thieves when that did go to game 3. And when we go down to the wire and we count map differentials, that could matter at the very end depending on how that seeding process goes.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm very, very excited to talk to our winners here today about just how they kept their calm at the very end of this series, because quite frankly, not many players are able to actually show that amount of patience. As you said, Dogman, like the fact that they were able to actually build those ults back in, because the final fight, or what seemed to us like the final fight, the ult advantage was very clearly in Energy Shock's favor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they had all the cards to win for sure. Like you mentioned, Zoe. Like it's tough. It's tough. It's a really hard game to play strategist, and it's not because of the mechanics, right? Like I think a lot of the strategists in this game aren't the highest mechanically skilled in terms of like actively making plays a lot of the time. But that's not necessarily where you make your money as a strategist, right? Like you have to have well-timed ultimates, and you have to play well and smart and intelligent. I couldn't do that, so huge shout out to the backline for sure of that squad.
That's why you're washed and not a pro player anymore, dear Dogman. You know who is a pro player, though? Krasman. And he will be joining us for a quick chat. The Hulk of the day, for sure. It's been an absolute pleasure to watch him in action. So let's bring Krasman in to the mix to chat about what we just got to see as they're getting yet another victory on the board. What a phenomenal, you know, first week for this team, right? It's a great start into the season. Krasman, welcome to the show. Congratulations on another victory.
Thank you.
I want to chat about Shin Shibuya here. This one came down to the wire. You guys played so patient, so passive, and then you managed to edge out the victory. Can you walk me through the team comps? Like, who kept the team calm and steady and collected in order to get through those final moments?
There was a lot of energy today, and I think actually it was surprising. Forky kind of got the comms more together today, which is which is different. But every time something got chaotic, Forky called it out to just calm down. Pretty good.
Yeah, Forky seems like a great pickup for you guys, Kraz. Like, can you talk about, like, your backline, I think, was pretty damn good before when you guys were Nemesis and now coming through on Swamp Gaming. Like, I feel like they've done a great job adapting with Valentina and Forky. Like, what's it like to have this backline where it feels like a lot of people are really hyping them up to be one of the best? You know, obviously you guys on Vanguards are doing a great job soaking a lot of the aggro without dying and stuff. But, like, what does that mean with these two pickups compared to where you were in the past?
Oh, I love playing with our new Vanguards. I love Forky and Val. They're both great. They both play great, and they're a blast to play with. I have no problems with them.
All right, Kraz. So now we get to see that Swamp Gaming, they put their money where their mouth they put their money where their mouth was after your scrim bucks cashed in, and now you guys are currently sitting at 3-0 compared to all the other teams currently in your group. Now you got to look on ahead to next week. You're going to be dealing with 100 Thieves, and I've been hearing through the grapevine that you guys have been belt to the booty when it comes to how scrims have been going. Is there anything specifically you guys are afraid of being revealed after the first week of gameplay and maybe showing a little bit of weaknesses here for the other teams that have been trying to figure things out? Or do you guys think that you have a lot of versatility and you're not really stressed out?
Yeah, I mean, if we have a weakness, I don't know what it is yet. So hopefully, if we could find out what that is before the enemy team is, it'd be nice. But hopefully, we just don't have a weakness. But I'm super happy about that last match because I think NRG is the second best team in our bracket, so I'm very pleased.
Ooh.
Yeah, we were very excited to see how this one is going to unfold. You guys cashing in on another dub, which is fantastic to see. And we're very excited to see what you have in store for us next week. Going to let you go for now. Thank you so much for taking the time for a quick chat, and best of luck next week.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for coming.